The Blast from Our Past Network.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Six String Samurai, starring Jeffrey Falcon and Justin McGuire.
All right, listen up, everybody. It's WPAD Radio coming at you live. It's the Wildcat Zach Man with the sleazy, sexy C talking about Six String Samurai, baby. If your little kid don't cry like a baby like the one in this one does, wow.
Then they can just float away, little butterfly. Just flutter away.
Yeah. And don't cry like a baby. Please don't cry like a baby. Thank you very much, Robert Ortiz, for this pick, because you are a Patreon exclusive member who is a producer on this episode, baby.
Oh, Zach, I hope you don't blow out your vocal cords after this episode.
Go blow out my O-ring.
What's up, everybody? That's right. You heard it here. You heard it from DJ Werewolf that we are recording our review of Six String Samurai from 1998. This, like you said, this was a pick by Robert Ortiz, and he gave us Excalibur and Guyver 2. Guyver.
Excalibur!
He also gave us Godzilla, but you know that we don't have any funny bits from that one. So
we just go dun dun. How's it go? The music go. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. How's it go?
Yeah, I know. It's not in my head right now. I have the red Elvises stuck in my head. I can't go back to Godzilla, baby. It's all about the red Elvises. Yeah,
baby.
So Zach, what is your familiarity with Six String Samurai? Did you watch it back in the day?
Yeah, there's I don't even know if it's still around, but there is a movie theater in San Jose, California, called the Camera Cinemas. And I believe I saw it there back when it came out. Way back when. That's where I saw Cemetery Man. That's where I saw City Hunter, the Jackie Chan movie. A lot of art house films. What now I think would be shown at New Beverly or the Arrow, blah, 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 down here in LA. But yeah, I think I saw it way back when. I'm pretty sure I did. And I only saw it the one time. That's my familiarity with it. How about you?
Yeah, dude, I picked up the DVD probably at Suncoast Video when it first came out. Yeah, because DVDs were out in 98, right? Yeah. So it's one of the earlier DVDs that I bought. My very first DVD was the Criterion RoboCop. I will always remember that purchase.
Oh, I have a story about that, by the way.
Criterion RoboCop?
Yeah, it's maybe not my brightest shining moment. I'm going to save it for a Tales from the Video Store when you're on, if you want to know more about it.
Okay.
It's a dark time in my life.
Well, we all have dark times in our lives, and Alex Murphy had a very dark time in his life at one point. Yeah, so I had the DVD. I watched it once when it came out. So it was one of the few movies that I bought having never seen it before, and I watched it once. And, you know, kind of like with my friends, and I don't think it really, like, connected with us. Like, I mean, in 98, I was only 2 years out of high school. I wasn't even in film school yet. And, you know, I was just kind of like, that's okay. I don't know what I wanted from it, but it wasn't what I wanted. Now, fast forward to 2024, and I'm 46 years old, and I think this movie's fucking brilliant. Like, the whole beginning scene where it has that squished anamorphic look, I remember specifically being like, well, this is stupid as a kid, being like, well, I don't understand this. But now, knowing what it's supposed to emulate, which it's, you know, the director says it's supposed to emulate back in the day when he would watch, you know, kung fu movies or whatnot on TV, you know, like they would be squished to pan and scan, but you can't squish the title card or you can't make the title card pan and scan because you'll lose the title card. So they have to squish them for right. TV. And this was basically to emulate that. And I watch it now, I'm just like, it's genius. So, 18-year-old Corey maybe was a moron, but 46-year-old Corey fucking loves this movie so much. Robert, dude, thank you for having me revisit this, because it's a part of my soul now. I absolutely adore it. Zach, do you feel any different now watching it?
I don't adore it, but I definitely appreciate it more now. There's one particular character that is integral to the story that I could definitely do without 90% of this movie, which I think he really is he's just so annoying. The
little boy? The kid?
Yeah, the little kid. The kid is the most annoying thing in this movie, and he's just like, it doesn't take away my enjoyment of this film, but it kind of does at times, because he's so just like, just like his annoying scream and his annoying crying. The crying scene is god awful. I gotta be honest with you. It drives me nuts.
As I was watching it, I knew you were gonna hate the kid, like especially the screaming parts, and I was like, oh, Zach's not gonna like this.
I just don't like. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it was like grating on my ears. Everything else about the movie I think is fantastic, but the kid is just woofa doofa. He's like, lone wolf and cub. He's the cub.
It's the hero's journey. It's his journey. It's the kid's journey. Buddy's the mentor.
God, but like, give me, little Annie any day over this kid any day with his Old Navy backpack that he wears in the first episode 1. Like seriously. But that being said, I'm not going to hate on any of the rest of the movie, because I think the rest of the movie is fantastic. It's just him. He just yeah.
Well, we got that. I knew you were gonna hate it. I knew you were gonna hate that so much.
I hate screaming kids. I love kids. I have a kid. I love my kid. He was never a screamer, and thank the gods he wasn't. But I can't stand when kids just like for no reason. You're like, no, that's not okay. He's precocious. He's finding himself. No, you're not. You're tell your kid to be quiet, not to scream.
Now, one thing I completely missed, the first time I watched it, but was like how perfectly this like hits all the beats of like the hero's journey and like classic mythology. Like the fact that Buddy and the kid have to descend into hell in order to rise above, and then even when he goes to fight death, he has to climb a mountain to get there. There's so much symbolism to this that, again, I know I missed all of that the first go round when I was younger, but now when I watch it, I'm like, wow, like it's like the hero's journey blueprint, like note for note, like across the board. And I think there's something really special and simple and magical about that.
I totally agree. My question to you is, did you happen to look up the budget for this movie?
Oh, I know it was microscopic, but I was also going to ask if you knew what this had in common with Phantasm 1, the first Phantasm.
Oh, same budget?
They were both shot on weekends.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, like the budget, according to IMDb, the budget's $2 million.
Well, so apparently half of the movie was filmed for $10,000 on their personal budget, and then they got funding halfway through it, and that's when it kind of, you can actually tell that it increases. Quality, I think, increases a little bit, but they were also like gifted Panavision camera for it, because apparently the head of marketing at Panavision at the time, he would basically do all these charity projects where he would find little horror movies that he believed in, little low budget films that he believed in, and he would give them packages, Panavision packages, at either dirt cheap or for free. And This was one of the ones that he reached out to, and they were able to film it on a Panavision camera, but he gave it to them for free, essentially, because he believed in the project.
Wow, that's impressive. Wow, that's great. Yeah, so it's a super low budget film, but then just got funding at the tail end.
I think so. I believe so, because, like, for example, like the first scene in that hay grass, that's like at the parking lot of Loyola Marymount College in Santa Monica, and it's like a lot of it was just ingenuity of the filmmakers of like what not to show in the background, and you know, shooting with like a telephoto lens to kind of crush everything in that scene. But I think this movie should be shown to filmmakers in college, is to what you can do with a micro budget and some great actors like the cannibal Papa Ward. You know, I love that dude.
Yeah, I mean, the entire cast is relatively unknown, and if not totally unknown, and I would say they do an exceptional job. You'll hear in the intro, we only reference, you know, the two leads, because the rest of the cast is, you know, either under a mask the entire time or kind of nondescript. So that's really important to note, is that, you know, this is a movie, maybe one of our first movies we've covered where the entire cast is essentially like not known to a wide audience.
Yeah, and even like you know, the main guy, Buddy, Jeffrey Falcon, you know, he's not really known over here, and he's not even known anymore because apparently he went into seclusion in China, and like, there's rumors that he's like living as a Tibetan monk or something, but no one can find him. He's literally fallen off the face of this earth.
He's like John Liu from New York Ninja, who went into seclusion as well after his film career was pretty much over. So,
yeah.
But I'm hoping there's rumors about why he went into seclusion. I'm hoping they're not the same as Jeffrey Falcon.
I don't think they are. I think Jeffrey Falcon he went away. He floated away, little butterfly. He fluttered away.
He sure did. Yeah. Jeffrey Falcon was in Prince of the Sun, by the way, which totally sounds like a ripoff of Golden Child with Cynthia Rothrock, where she protects a Buddhist boy from villains who wish to stop him from becoming the Prince of the Sun. Sounds a lot like the Golden Child. Came out a couple of years after the Golden Child, so I still want to see it because I love Cynthia Rothrock.
I know you do. Yeah, because he was big over in China. I think he grew up there, Jeffrey Falcon. But of course, being a Caucasian male, doing action work and acting in China, he was cast as a villain a lot.
Yeah, and he's a great martial artist. I mean, what he does, the action in this movie. Don't be surprised, Robert, if this is a shorter episode because of the action sequences, and there are action sequences aplenty. Just, action sequence, move on to the next thing.
There's not much I can do in the breakdown. It's like I basically say he dispatches them all, and that's kind of it.
Pretty much.
But he also, he did a lot of other stuff too. Like he co-wrote it. He did a lot of the costuming. Like he was kind of like everyone on a movie like this, you kind of have to be a jack of all trades. But he was, from what I understand, he was really committed to this film and his partnership with the director, which apparently this kind of, sort of spun out of the idea that like when they were they kind of hooked up, were hanging out and everything, and they were talking at like a diner or something in LA, and apparently the director Lance Mungia, he had these like just beat up glasses and everything, and Jeffrey Falcon was like, oh, how can you see through those things? And he put them on, and Lance said that he's like, you look like a post-apocalyptic Buddy Holly with those things on, and then boom, literally like lightning, it like just was the inception of the concept for this film.
And it sounds like him too throughout the whole thing as well. So
did Buddy Holly kind of have that sort of like high pitched sort of voice?
Yeah. Oh, Peggy Sue, Peggy
okay.
Sue.
So like for me, it's the voice kind of is the uncool thing about Jeffrey Falcon. But if that's, I think that's probably more akin to his actual voice. But if that's also makes it better that he's like, doing a better Buddy Holly, then you know what? I can get with that.
Yeah, I think that feels more accurate to me. That feels more accurate to me and less off-putting than Justin McGuire, who plays the kid. By the way, you said the director Lance Mungia, he directed The Crow, Wicked Prayer, which, if for those of you that don't know, it is basically Good Will Hunting meets The Crow. It's Wicked Prayer in Boston. You go down there and you go seeking revenge for guys who like did a wicked game on you. And then, it's a terrible Boston accent, but I was going for something funny. It failed miserably. Yeah, Daddy.
Yeah, and it's got Edward Furlong in it.
It's trash.
I don't think I saw it, dude. After
I
was
saw
it City
it.
of
It was
Angels,
trash.
the second one, I never saw another Crow after that.
I watched the TV series with Mark Dacascos and actually kind of liked that one. Liked it better than the movies that came out after The Crow. And Robert, of course, is a huge Crow fan like we are. And then this new Crow that's coming out looks trash too. And just let it lie. Let it lie. Let Lin-Manuel Miranda
float away, butterfly.
Let it float away, butterfly. Let Lin-Manuel Miranda direct a Broadway version of it like he is to the Warriors. Like, I'm cool with that. Do a Broadway version. Don't do a screen remake. Just do a Broadway version with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
One day we should do a TV Obscura where we do like the Crow TV series, the Mortal Kombat TV series, and like, something else that's like was a movie turned into a UPN TV series,
Oh God, yeah, UPN. Oh, the good old days. Yeah, I mean, we covered Highlander, unfortunately, or fortunately, and we love that show, but yeah, we have to come back and do that. Movie TV show thing. Yes.
So I'm guessing that the Crow, Wicked Prayer, Wicked City,
Wicked Prayer.
I'm guessing that kind of derailed his career because he hasn't really done much else.
And unfortunately, in this day and age, like when you see a prominent director, I wouldn't consider him prominent, but a director who's made some movies that we enjoy or other people enjoy, and then they're suddenly gone, or an actor that's suddenly gone. You're like, what happened to that guy? What happened to that woman? Where'd they go? And hopefully, he's making some projects that bring him joy.
Yeah, I know. Well, he directed the making of, like, I think they filmed a new making of for the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray or the 4K that came out, and it's like over an hour long. I watched about half of it, and he directed it during COVID, so he had to sort of direct everything remotely. But he's still, I guess, still working because he still has a bunch of he's still doing things, but I can't really figure out what those things are. It almost makes you wonder if he's maybe doing commercials and stuff because those won't be listed on your IMDb.
Yeah, he's got it. Like you said, he did an episode of a show called Belonging, or a mini series called Belonging. He's got an upcoming project called Unbroken. So yeah, good for him. Good for him. And Wicked Prayer, it's probably going to be better than that remake coming out. Really quickly, we should talk about the music in this because the Red Elvises are credited as the composers along with Brian Tyler. I think Brian Tyler did the more cinematic score of this film. He's actually composed quite a few pretty prominent projects like Abigail and the Super Mario Brothers movie, Scream 6, Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think he's a conductor for those. I don't know if he's the composer for those or he's actually the conductor for the orchestra.
He's credited as the composer.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, he's still doing big shit these days.
Yeah, and then the Red Elvises are, that rockabilly scene was very popular in the mid to late 90s, along with the ska revitalization, I think, that came out with like Mighty Mighty Bosstones and Cherry Poppin' Daddies, and who else? What was the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy with the swing phase coming in the 90s as well. So these were like Squirrel Nut Zippers, I think you could throw in there as well. People are probably like, oh my God, you mentioned Squirrel Nut Zippers, man. It was a fad, and it was very popular at that time. So way to capitalize on it with getting a band like this. And that's cool. Like, they're in the band, they're in the movie as well. And it's fun. Like, if you like that style of music, it's a lot of fun. If you don't, then turn us off right now.
Were you ever a fan of them, or were you ever aware of the Red Elvises?
I was aware of them because of this movie.
Okay.
I didn't go out and get their CD after this. I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to Virgin Megastore to get the Red Elvises.
Yeah, I mean, at this time when all that stuff you were mentioning was popping, like I was listening to either White Zombie or Tool, pretty much like, maybe some Pantera here and there or whatnot. So yeah, none of that was at all like on my radar. Even like, after Swingers was so popular, I never got into that.
You didn't get into Big Bad Voodoo Daddy? I went and saw Big Bad Voodoo Daddy live up in the Bay Area. God, I was super into that scene, wearing those stupid bowling shirts and like, that whole look. I was totally hook, line, and sinker in that shit.
Oh no, that's okay. Like I'm not shitting on it. Like I'm
I'm not either. But man, what a time, as I like to say. What a time.
What a time.
Like, oh my God, why? Now it's coming back in fashion. Like people are wearing Junko jeans again. And you're like, what the hell? What's going on? What's going on, man? And the Red Elvises will probably have a comeback tour. Maybe not.
The music isn't quite my style in this, but that being said, I loved that one song, "My Love Is Killing Me," when he goes to that like brothel place. That's my favorite song in the whole album or in the whole movie.
I'd say 75% of this movie I think is fantastic. It's that 25% of the kid that just drives me up the wall.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it, man.
Robert right now is going, I don't care because you guys are breaking this down for me. So you like it or love it, it's the best thing going today, baby.
Baby. Now, I thought the cinematographer was actually quite good, Christian Bernier, but he hasn't really done. I mean, he's been working since, but he hasn't really done anything that I've seen. Kind of looks like a lot of like sort of straight to video stuff. He did do that 2003 Gacy movie, but I was like, man, the cinematography in this was great. But then again, you also got to wonder is like, filming in Death Valley, like a lot of times in LA and stuff, you can't get a bad shot when you have a location that's like that. So it's like, is it the cinematographer or is it just the stunning, spectacular locations?
It's both, right? Because you gotta be looking at it from both perspectives. Like you gotta be able to, you can see it and it looks beautiful, but you gotta shoot it beautifully too. So it's shot really well. And the matte paintings are really good in this too.
Right? Like that wasn't CGI. Like when they actually see Las Vegas, I was shocked at how good that was. And it's not CGI. It's just, matte painting, old school matte paintings, baby.
Yeah. And there's like a little, what is it? A metronome or something that's going back and forth. So they have some movement there, but I think it's a matte painting too. I don't think it's CGI, the 90s CGI.
Yeah, no, me neither, man. And yeah, everything looks really good. Even it's funny, like some of the costuming is just people wearing trash bags and gas masks, but the way it's shot, the way it's lit, you're like, it works. And then the fact that everything is sort of tongue-in-cheek anyways, like I referred to the cannibal Ward Cleaver, like everything is supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, and so you can get away with things, not looking as perfect.
Yeah, and I don't think your expectations for a movie like this should be high. I think they should be really low, and then you'll be pleasantly surprised watching it.
Yeah, agreed. Anyone else like in the cast or crew we want to call out? Because yeah, dude, it's no one's got a fucking picture on IMDb.
This is a pretty thin behind the scenes breakdown because it's an indie film.
Yeah. So like I said, it was filmed on the weekends and had, over the course of time. And I think you can sort of tell by the fact that it's like a bunch of vignettes, put together. But I think it's put together very well. And yeah, man, I'm ready to float away if you are.
Let's get into this movie, Daddy, with WPAD Radio. It's time to get greasy and sleazy. Yeah.
In 1957, the bomb dropped. Las Vegas became the last free state. Elvis was crowned king, but his only heir has died. Now, Vegas needs a new king. And one guitar-picking, sword-swinging wanderer
We don't get too many new guys around here.
is fighting for the throne.
A lot of king wannabes on their way to Vegas.
And one lone orphan is along for the ride.
You scratch my guitar.
Follow the yellow brick road, homie.
Neither armies nor boulders,
Nice tuxedo to die
nor death himself
Don't let the Four Eyes reach Vegas alive!
will keep them from their quest.
I gotta get a new gig.
Slice me off a thigh, honey bunch!
Six String Samurai is wildly original and highly entertaining. 5 stars.
Don't touch my guitar, man. Don't even touch my guitar.
They called him the Six String Samurai, and he became a legend. Jeffrey Falcon, Justin McGuire. Six String Samurai.
The movie starts with an atomic explosion. Then we see text scroll up the screen. In 1957, the bomb dropped, and the Russians took over what was America. The last bastion of freedom became a place called Las Vegas, and Elvis was crowned king. After 40 rockin' years, the king is dead. Every guitar-picking, sword-swinging opportunist, including Death himself, hears the call echoing across the wastelands. Vegas needs a new king. We hear a DJ named The Werewolf over the radio say,
You're listening to KLOST, home of the apocalypse. The calling question of the day is, who will be the new king? I've sent in an ICBM across the wasteland for all you on the yellow brick road to Vegas looking for a hero. If you find one, send him my way, baby.
Dude, I love the fact that Death is in this movie as an actual character. When I was in high school, that is such a Corey thing. I loved the concept of Death being an actual, not person, but something that was tangible. And I feel like there's, I think you saw that in the Crow comic book, the Brandon Lee one, in the movie too, but they cut it out. Berryman played the Death character, and they just cut all those scenes out of the movie. But maybe it started there. Maybe my fascination of it started there. But that's such a Corey thing that I love the concept of Death being a person.
Yeah, me too. I love that. And I love when it's envisioned in a really unique way. Like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, when Death is a metal playing rocker.
Right. William Sadler, we interviewed him. We talked about it.
Love that guy.
And in here, though, we got to admit, Death is just Rob Zombie, right?
Yeah. This is 98 when this movie came out, so Rob Zombie at the height of his popularity as a performer. Yeah, it's totally Rob Zombie. That's who I thought it was at first. I'm like, is that Rob Zombie? No.
And I do wish that there was more of an emphasis on the fact that it's, at the end of it, when they do the guitar off, it is that's when they kind of focus in on the fact that it's old rock and roll versus heavy metal. I kind of wish that they had sort of made that the emphasis across the movie, but I still, going back and rewatching, I'm like, okay, I can see how heavy metal's creeping up on rock and roll essentially.
Well, did you ever see the movie Crossroads with Ralph Macchio and Jamie Gertz in the 80s?
No.
It's directed by Walter Hill, I think, who did Crossroads. And Ry Cooder does the soundtrack. And he has a guitar off with Steve Vai in that at the end. It's blues versus, rocket, heavy metal rock and roll. You never saw Crossroads? You should watch that. I think you might like it.
No, I'm totally down, man. That's freaking awesome. That sounds cool as hell.
Yeah, it was directed by Walter Hill, and it's good stuff. It plays on the blues mythos. Okay. And there's a fun guitar off at the end. It's basically Karate Kid with guitars.
Well, we're going to probably get to Walter Hill one day on our A Tour de Force series. Yeah,
it'd be better to do him as an auteur versus breaking down all his movies. Which
the ones that he directed, not wrote and everything, or contributing writer to. No, just the stuff that he directs. Yeah.
Like we're doing with Don Coscarelli.
That's
if
right.
you're a fan of Don Coscarelli or John Carpenter, sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/podcastingafterdark, and become a Auteur de Force member, and you can listen to our Coscarelli Factor and Carpenter Factor episodes. Or if you know Don Coscarelli, the Coscarelli Factory.
Oh, Donnie C, thank you for giving us that. We fade in on a beautiful wheat field during the day. A young boy and his mother are running away from a group of bandits. One of the wastelanders fires an arrow and kills the mom. The boy trips and falls. As the attackers close in on him, a man screams and jumps out of the tall grass with his sword in hand. The man is Buddy, the six-string samurai played by Jeffrey Falcon, and the little boy is the kid played by Justin McGuire. We didn't mention him in the breakdown at the beginning because he's done this in one other movie.
Yeah, like stunt work, and that's it.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
There you go.
The credits and title card appear over a distorted picture of Buddy killing each of the Wastelanders with his samurai sword. The squashed effect of the scene is an homage to the days of yore when widescreen movies were released as full screen on VHS and TV and had their titles similarly distorted. After Buddy dispatches all the bandits, he adjusts his glasses and picks up his guitar. The kid checks on his mom but realizes she's gone. He looks up and sees Death walking through the tall grass. Death looks like some... I already talked about that. But I do like how you can see Death's skull face occasionally.
Yeah, it's cool. I love it. It's just flashed. It's very brief, subtle. I like subtlety.
Yeah, me too. Zach's favorite part? The kid yells out as Buddy walks past him with his sword dripping with the blood in one hand and a tattered umbrella in the other, and his guitar slung over his back.
How does he scream, Corey? How does he scream?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the... yeah.
I wouldn't want to help that kid either if he did that to me and be like, later, kid.
Yeah. No, I'm not with you on the screaming aspect.
I know you're not. I mean, I know you are.
Buddy stops and says, "Float away, little butterfly. Just flutter away. I got a gig in Vegas, and the wastelands ain't no place for kids." I gotta say, I think that was one of the things that sort of put me off in 98 was when he talks. I was like, that doesn't sound like the right voice to come out of that, like that badassery, but I get it now.
Yeah, he's Buddy Holly, so he's got to have a little pitchiness to him. And not everybody's blessed with a golden throat.
or a silver throat, as what's his name goes by. What?
Keith David.
Keith David on Instagram.
Keith.
Keith David's handle on Instagram is silver throat. It's great.
Yeah, I love that.
The kid picks up his teddy bear and follows Buddy out of the wheat field and into the wasteland. This is a cool shot because you can tell the filmmakers took some of those tall wheat grasses and brought them to the desert to create an awesome in-camera transition from one scene to the other.
Yeah, I agree. It's very cool.
And that's the kind of shit that what I would want to show to an upcoming filmmaker in college, being like, here's how you can do an amazing transition and it doesn't cost anything other than, having to pluck those wheats out and kind of put them in front of the camera and move them aside as the camera walks through.
Right.
Zach, the kid yells out again. How does it go?
Ah! No, stop it right now.
Yeah, he's going to scream out a few more times, but we will omit that moving forward.
No, we will
make everyone suffer.
Yes. Thank you, Robert Ortiz. Be like, you're welcome. Dude, again, I think this movie is really, really fun and enjoyable. That kid is insufferable. Watch, he's listening. He's literally listening.
He's going to listen to this. And one tear is going to roll down the side of his face.
It's that scene in Ford Fairlane when he's like, I'm going to be the one girl. What is this?
Asshole crying about?
Yeah, and then suddenly he's crying. When Wade Newton starts, making fun of Kyle Troy. Making fun of Kyle Troy. I love it. My favorite scene in the movie.
I know.
Kyle Troy. Kyle Troy. What a name.
Oh, I still say, what's this asshole smiling about?
We quote Ford Fairlane as often as we do Fletch, I think.
We do. Got to shave when you wear a dress like that, and I don't mean your legs.
My hair.
Buddy stops and uses his sword to draw a line in the dirt. He says to the kid without looking back, "You still there? Cross that line, kid, and I'll cut your little teddy bear in half." The last kid that crossed that line, I had to summon up the spinach monster with my rock and roll magic. The spinach monster grabbed him, pulled him underground, and made him eat spinach all day. Rumor has it, kid, he's still there. And he's doing an awesome, Tai Chi movements and stuff.
I love it.
Man, rock and roll magic. Like, again, all this shit was over my head when I was in '98, but now I'm like literally eating it up.
Yeah, it's a really fun scene, and a lot you can do with, just with very minimal.
And Buddy also like kind of punctuates some of his points with like a snap of the finger. Was that a Buddy Holly thing, or was that just like a general rock and roller type of thing?
I don't know. I mean, he has a whole 50s vibe, so it is
Right.
like a bebop 50s vibe thing. I don't know if Buddy Holly did that, but he definitely embodies the 50s look.
Yeah, with the baggy pants and everything.
Yeah. I feel like this was definitely popular at this time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the 90s.
This movie is definitely of its time, but the fact that it's like a post-apocalyptic rock and roll, fever dream, it can still feel contemporary now, even though I think some of the design choices that they made were of 1998.
Agreed.
It always reminds me of like one of the few things that makes Star Wars A New Hope look like a 70s movie is their hair is very 70s-ish. But I remember there was a micro moment, I think in the early 2000s or something, or when they were re-releasing, or late 90s or something, when they were re-releasing Star Wars in the theater, I think with the special edition. But there was a micro moment where it was in the 70s were kind of in style again, and so people had their hair sort of floppy like Luke's, and it would happen right when the special edition came out in the theater. I remember seeing it in the theater, and for the first time realizing that, I was like, oh, hey, Luke's hair looks like contemporary right now. And then it goes back to looking like it's from the 70s.
True. Yeah, very true. It's like in Phantom Menace when Annie's sporting that backpack from Old Navy. And I'm like, this is very much the time. Look at that Old Navy backpack he's wearing.
And their communicators, what like Qui-Gon uses to talk to and everything, were just ladies' Bic shavers with some Ghiblies attached to it.
Look, as much as I love Star Trek The Next Generation, when LaForge had his visor on, I'm like, my mom has a hair clip that looks exactly like that. That is a hair clip.
All of us kids, we all wore that hair clip into the exact same thing.
And it was cool, but I'm like, wow, that's what they used? Okay. It was like Doctor Who, and you see the Daleks are using plungers. I don't know. It's all, that was then, this is now. Shame on George Lucas for wearing a backpack from Old Navy in Phantom Menace, and a rolling backpack in Part 2 when, Anakin
and Padme are going to.
Come on. He's got a rolling back. Come on, with wheels and shit. This is, no.
There's no wheels in Star Wars. There's hovers. Everything's just supposed to hover.
Hover, yeah. With magnets. Everything is magnets nowadays, guys. Come on.
Come on, it's all ball bearings.
Hey!
Hey! So the kid runs after him but stops at the line. He uses his teddy bear to push dirt on the line, covering it up. But before he crosses it, he leaves the teddy bear behind it. Buddy stops and looks back but keeps walking as the kid keeps pace.
That's a moment he leaves his childhood behind.
Yep, dude. I mean, it's all perfectly paced to like the hero's journey.
He's still a little shit though. We're getting there.
Cut to Buddy walking down a desolate road in the desert with the kid chasing after him. It's covered in tumbleweeds. Buddy stops at a dilapidated old gas station where a band is playing, and this is the Red Elvises. And an evil-looking teenager is standing by the entrance. As Buddy walks in, the Red Elvises stop playing and look at him. Are the Red Elvises Russian in real life, or was this just for fun for them to...
I honestly don't know. I feel like they are. That's why they call themselves the Red Elvises. That kid, by the way, had shades of the annoying, the glove kid from The Wizard. Not as cool as the kid in The Wizard. Well, the kid in The Wizard. Don't look him up now, by the way. Fun fact. Don't look up the kid from The Wizard with the glove now, because you're going to be really disappointed. And now everyone's going to go look it up. But yeah, that kid too, I was like, ooh, these kids are rubbing me the wrong way. It's hard casting kids and not have them be annoying. this kid is annoying. I want to smack this kid too. I don't want to smack a kid. Well,
Good
you know what
Lord. I think Zach just hates kids because I didn't hate either of them in this, and I don't even have kids.
Look, I ran a summer camp a couple years ago.
I think you're just traumatized.
I'm traumatized by certain kids at that camp. We're like, this is stupid. And like, wow, you are 9 talking to an adult like that? How dare you?
I said good day, sir.
Good day. You do not get your beads for the week. Sorry, continue.
The band with a thick Russian. I hate you.
You love me.
I do. The band with a thick Russian accent discusses if they should kill Buddy now or later. They decide to kill him when he's drunk and go back to playing. Inside the gas station / watering hole, I guess, there's a bunch of other people there, and everyone is watching Buddy as he walks by. Outside, we see 3 bald guys walking down the road towards the gas station. They are all wearing bowling outfits and carrying bowling bags. Their shirt says Pen Pals on the back. Each one is flipping a quarter in the air and catching it in unison.
I love these Pen Pals characters. By the way, this has elements or shades of like Hardware, with the kind of the directing style or it reminded me of that.
Like, everything is so stylish. There's so much slow motion being used in here.
Yeah.
Inside the bar, Buddy takes a bottle of whiskey from the bartender and tells the man to not touch his guitar. The bartender says, "Hello, buddy." He's got like this bartender, this fat guy he's imitating somebody. Like, it's kind of like a jazz player or something. But he's like, "Hello, buddy, 6 string, 1957, a good year." Maybe that was the guy that did the werewolf's voice.
Might have been. Sure. Let's say it was.
There you go. The bartender.
Let's create our own narrative.
Why not, right? The bartender motions to the red Elvises and says they're king material. Buddy says the only one going to Vegas around here is him. The bartender says wherever Buddy goes, death follows. And of course, that's another thing that I always love is when like everyone sort of knows about you before, your reputation precedes you type of thing.
Like Snake Plissken. I heard about you, Snake.
Exactly. I love that shit, dude.
If you want our take on Escape from New York, that's a hot take.
It is.
Check out the Carpenter Factor.
Yeah, on Patreon. As Buddy drinks his whiskey, he spots the kid looking at him from the road. Just then, the Pen Pals roll up and tell Buddy that Top Hat, who is Death, and I mostly call him Death, but sometimes I refer to him as Top Hat, has put a bounty out on his guitar. You give it to us and we forget we ever saw you. Buddy says, "Come on, guys. Bowling night is until Tuesday." And they all have funny voices too, because I think that all of this was filmed without rolling audio track, and they had to kind of do post, audio, which I think was one of those things where, they understood it was going to be better for the production to do that, but it also kind of gives it that old kung fu quality.
Yeah, it does. And it's funny that
spaghetti western quality too.
Right. Yeah, and this got rolled out around the same time from Vinegar Syndrome that New York Ninja got rolled out. And both are for different reasons, and you should if you're not familiar with New York Ninja, look that story up because it's wild. But yeah, both are dubbed, is so to speak. So but it adds charm to this one.
Yeah. It gives it
to
that
both of them.
Yeah, it gives it that spaghetti western feel.
Totally.
Buddy slides his plate of food to the side, and the kid pops up and starts eating it. The leader of the gang goes on, "Who you fooling? Maybe you were good once, but now everybody knows you're just a washed-up rocker who can't tell a 6-string from a shot glass. You're probably not even worth killing, but maybe we kill you anyway." Buddy grabs his guitar and walks up to the Pen Pals. As they flip their coins simultaneously, Buddy grabs them out of the air with his lightning-fast reflexes. The leader of the gang says, nice tuxedo to die in." That was great.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the other guys says in a deep voice, "Nobody messes with the Pen Pals and gets away with it." And the other one says in a comically high voice, "Yeah, nobody." So,
yeah.
I mean, seriously, the first 6 minutes of this movie, the tone that they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, don't take it seriously, folks.
All 3 of the gang members unzip their bags and pull out converted bowling pin weapons. Buddy now has his sword drawn. He sinks it into the ground and fights the Pen Pals barehanded while everyone in the gas station / bar watches. Buddy easily dispatches the 3 men with his rock and roll kung fu. He tells the leader that he should have waited till he was drunk, gutterball. As the fight is happening, we see the kid has created little shoe lifts for himself and is getting a soda out of a rusty old vending machine. Buddy walks back to his sword as the pen pals pull knives out of their bowling pins and rush him from behind. Buddy spins around and slices them all down, sending their knives flying through the air. One lands on the gas hose, slicing it and causing fuel to start leaking down the sidewalk. Just then, a car rolls up and a Clint Eastwood impersonator gets out with his rifle slung over his back. Buddy compliments the Plymouth, and the man says thanks through gritted teeth. Dude, that guy was a great Clint Eastwood.
He was great. I wished he was in more of this movie, actually, because I really liked him a lot.
Dude, I was like, right when I saw him, I was like, man, I hope he doesn't die in 2 seconds. And he does, because I knew he was going to. But right. I really think that they should have made him like another bounty hunter or like, following Buddy or something along the way. Because that guy was too good to only be in this movie for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, at that point, this reminded me like shades of Fallout.
But dude, this is before Fallout. Like, I think this is probably after the PC game, which is still a part of the series and everything. And I'm sure they got some of the humor from that PC game. But this is way before the Bethesda 3D games, the TV show and everything. And it's so funny how the tone and everything, this feels like it could take place in the Fallout universe.
That would be cool. Get on that, Amazon.
Seriously.
Put a 6-string samurai in there. Well,
right?
Put the kid in there as a... Never mind. Don't. We'll get to the end. When we get to the end, you'll know what I mean.
Buddy starts walking down the road as another car full of wastelanders slowly drives by. The evil teenager outside the gas station says, "Tag, you're it," and throws a rock at him. Buddy deflects the rock with his hand, and it hits one of the wastelanders in the car. They stop. Before they can get out and fight Buddy, the kid steals the impersonator Clint's Plymouth and drives up to rescue his would-be mentor. Buddy looks down and sees the kid is using the shoe lifts to drive the car. Buddy hops into the passenger seat and says, "What are you waiting for?" Back at the gas station, Clint has his rifle aimed at Buddy and the kid. He doesn't realize that he's standing in a puddle of fuel that's leaking from the hose thanks to one of the pen pal's knives. He fires his rifle, but the spark ignites the gasoline and his pants, and Clint says,
"Damn, it just isn't my day."
Perfect. Man, your voice is so fucked after this episode.
Hey, can you play a 7-year-old boy?
You sure?
No problem, baby.
No problem.
As the kid and Buddy drive past the demented teenager, the boy makes a throat-slitting motion to the kid and says, "You're it," as the gas station and Clint explode behind him. They keep driving down the desert road as the truck full of wastelanders follows. Just then, an arrow flies through the air and hits the evil teen in the back. He falls down on the road as Death and his 3 archers walk past him. Death says, "Beware the spinach monster. See you in hell, boy." And the evil teen screams and disappears as they walk by. I want to talk about Death and his band in 1 second, but let me finish this scene. Death and his band stand over the dead bodies of the pen pals. Death says, "They were my best bowlers. The one with the 4 eyes will be hard to defeat." The Red Elvises walk out of the smoking rubble of the gas station and ask Comrade Death what the problem is. Death says they failed him for the last time, but he stops mid-sentence and says, "Nice shoes." He looks down at their shoes. Top Hat draws his sword and kills the Red Elvises. Then we see him and his band walking down the road in the direction Buddy and the kid went, but now they're wearing the Red Elvises shoes. So, the band is, there's 3 band members that are with Death, and they have this high-pitched voice. They're supposed to be crows. Like, they're supposed to be crows in human form, and they all have sort of one hive mind because they just repeat the same thing. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, me too. I love it. And the characters get, sprinkled in so quickly and then dispersed so quickly too. You never get a chance to develop them deeper than that, but that's okay. It's cool. It's like little things, little characters you meet along the way, and some stand out in a good way and some don't, but all of these did. The Pinheads the Pin Boys or whatever.
Pin Pals.
The Pin Pals. Yeah, they're I think they're my favorite from all of the quirky characters in this.
I mean, dude, this feels like a comic book come to life, and I mean, I would totally be on board for a comic book prequel to this, and you know, have it flesh out some of these characters, or even a sequel. But like, yeah, dude, it feels like there's enough meat on the bone, at least for me, to world build and be like, okay, you know, it's all mystical, and these guys are crows, and this and that. Like, it's all world building for me.
Yeah, agreed.
As they walk, we hear the werewolf on the radio.
Another caller, can you dig it? We're rocking and rolling ourselves to death.
Yeah, werewolf! I just saw Death, and he's looking for your number!
Well, you just tell that dog ugly dude that my number is 555 unlisted, baby!
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just wanted to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hello, and welcome to BAMPIRE. BAMPIRE is a wildly ambitious, independent horror comedy film.
It is fun, sexy, thrilling, and unpredictable from start to finish.
On the surface, BAMPIRE is a slasher flick set in the 90s.
References Bambi, but it's not just, oh, Bambi, but horror. It's its own thing, and it has a real story to tell.
BAMPIRE is a story that I wrote to encapsulate my own experience growing up in the wilds of Alaska, seeing humankind interact with nature.
So to me, BAMPIRE is just like a fantastic horror comedy, just like a classic kind of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, early Scream era.
It's also a gore fest that will make you wonder if we took the actors back there and really mauled them like that.
It is going to be so wildly entertaining.
It's visceral, it's energetic, it's emotional, it's popcorn, it's candy. It feels like watching a movie. It's a movie.
And now, back to the show. Cut to the kid driving down a desert road while Buddy sits in the passenger seat playing his guitar. The Wastelanders are slowly catching up behind them. The bandits attack Buddy and the kid by firing gumballs at them with a catapult on the back of their truck. Buddy grabs one and chews it while still playing guitar. One of the Wastelanders jumps on the car and Buddy punches him off. Another one runs up to the driver's side and holds onto the door, and the kid punches him in the face and laughs. It's a comically slow-moving car chase, obviously all on purpose.
Yeah, it's funny. It made me want to chew gumballs.
It did. It really did. Those gumballs looked great, dude. Eventually, the Wastelanders' truck breaks down, and they chase after the Plymouth on foot. The car begins to overheat, and the kid pulls over next to a sign that says Nevada Badlands. Buddy gets out of it with his umbrella and says, "Thanks for the ride, kid," snaps his fingers and starts walking. We hear the DJ say over the radio,
"Here we go. You're on the air with the werewolf. The topic is, who will be the next king of rock and roll?"
The kid, still sitting in the car, cries out for Buddy.
Oh my god. When he did that, I was like, no, what? Use your words.
He doesn't have any because he's been traumatized.
I get it. He's a feral child. I get it. But I'm just like, I don't need to see a feral child. I know feral children. I don't want to see another feral child.
And let's be honest, you know, in Road Warrior, you have the feral child in that, but he's not annoying. He never yells out or anything.
Well, I mean, he dragged me down. I don't like little kids in movies when they're such a cool protagonist. I don't like little kids like that. Give me Davy and Cloak and Dagger, and that's it. That's it.
Man,
Daryl.
I remember Daryl. Mother brother Daryl.
Artax and Atreyu and
the six-string samurai stops, turns around, and yells at the kid, then keeps walking down the road. But at least you gotta admit, he was he turns around and yells back at him.
That was funny when he did that. I'm like, yeah, just yell back. Ah!
But he does turn around when he hears the echoes of the Wastelanders coming from the canyon behind them. At the same time, the kid gets out of the Plymouth, pops the hood, and starts filling the radiator up with muddy water that he finds next to the Badlands sign. He sees the bandits running towards him, and he tries to start the car, but the engine won't turn over. But he picks the kid up and puts him in the trunk of the Plymouth and closes it. I bet Zach was hoping that he would leave him there. He then proceeds to kill all the Wastelanders with his rock and roll fighting style. Once he's dispatched them all, he opens the trunk of the Plymouth and says, "Swell." Zach says, "Fuck me."
Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, man. Come on. He should have overheated.
Let him sit in there and bake.
I can't breathe. Well, tough shit.
Off to spaghetti monster hell you go. I mean,
life happens.
I have no problem with the kid whatsoever in this movie.
I know you don't. And I have every problem with the kid.
I know.
Robert Ortiz is like, I don't have a problem with the kid. Canceled.
Cut to Buddy riding on the hood of the car, strumming his guitar, while the kid drives them past a massive windmill farm. On the radio, the werewolf says,
"Listen up, baby, from a word from our sponsors. Are you a busy rock warrior? Are you constantly plagued by small annoying animals on your path to Vegas? Call up Dr. Pest to round up all your stray cats, dogs, and other furry creatures. Can you dig it?"
The car eventually breaks down and Buddy says, "Sounds like we need a ratchet, stray cat." He looks over and sees a man in a ripped up suit playing golf. Buddy walks up to the man and the man yells, "4!" and hits a golf ball straight at Buddy. The rock and roll samurai dodges the ball and the man smiles. He calls out for his wife and kids and tells them they have guests for dinner. The man shakes Buddy's hand and says, "Why, it's Wally Fishbinder and his little boy Jed." Was Wally Fishbinder in Leave It to Beaver? Because this is like, this guy's billed as, Ward Cleaver in the credits.
Yeah, wasn't Wally the
friend or something? The next, yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm not positive.
Okay, yeah, I didn't really watch Leave It to Beaver back in the day. Even on like Nick at Night, it wasn't one that I kind of enjoyed. I would watch Mr. Ed more, Green Acres, Hogan's Heroes and stuff, but I was never into Leave It to Beaver.
I watched it, but I just remember there was a crossover when Wally came to he was a judge for a NWA WCW wrestling match.
Oh
back
God.
In the day. Yeah, because they were doing like cross promotion with TBS shows, I think.
Okay.
Like, watch the new adventures of Leave It to Beaver on TBS. Hey, everybody, he's got his vest on and stuff like that.
Jesus Christ. Well, that being said, I know you liked the pen pals and everything. My favorite character in this movie is this bizarro Ward Cleaver, because I'll call it out again, but I love later when he's like, goodbye, and he's doing like all these variations.
Oh, I love him too.
It's so cool. I love everything this guy is doing.
Yeah, this is a great vignette, little scene.
And this movie, it does feel like a bunch of vignettes put together, does it not?
Oh, yeah, totally.
I have it in my notes, but in the script, the family is named after the Cleavers in Leave It to Beaver, but clearly they're demented cannibals. Buddy asks if he has a ratchet, but bizarro Ward Cleaver just leads him and the kid into their broken down desert home while spouting nonsense like a weird used car salesman. Cannibal June Cleaver looks them over with her crazy eyes and pinches the kid's cheek and yells, You're just getting plumper every time we see you." And like, her name's Harriet because I think he calls out to her as Harriet, but I just call her Cannibal June Cleaver.
Cannibal June Cleaver is a pretty accurate way to describe the actual June Cleaver. Just kidding.
Inside the Cleaver home, Buddy and the kid are sitting on the couch between the two Cleaver children, Peggy and Rusty, who are just staring at them and licking their lips. Ward is sitting across from them and holding a pink golf ball. He says, "You ever try a pink golf ball, Wally? Why, the wind shear alone on a pink golf ball can take the head clean off a 90-pound midget over 300 yards. Buddy just looks at him and says, "So you don't have a ratchet?" The mom laughs maniacally and asks the kid if he wants some candy. Buddy leans over and asks, "Don't you think this is a nice family, kid?" The kid just shakes his head no. Buddy continues, "Look, they're a little strange, but they're better than what's outside." The kid looks terrified of the Cleavers, and rightfully so.
I love this because I was like, no, leave them there. Leave them there and they'll eat them. Please. Eat the little child.
Cut to the outside of the house, and Buddy's walking away while the kid stands there with the Cannibal Cleaver family trying to scream, but the mom has her hand over his mouth. The dad keeps yelling bye-bye in different tones. Again, like I said, it's like one is happy, one is sad, one is mad, but he's saying bye, and his face is like, his facial reaction is like matching it and everything. It's fucking genius.
Yeah, I love it.
Cut to back inside the house, and the kid is tied up and sitting in a giant pot while Cannibal June Cleaver is throwing carrots and vegetables on him. She says to her husband that he looks nice and marinated. Cannibal Ward says, "Slice me off a thigh, honey bunch." Before she can stick her fork into the kid, a horrible moan comes from outside in the desert, and the entire Cannibal Cleaver family gets up and runs to look out the window. We see men in makeshift spacesuits walking from the windmill farm towards the house. Cannibal Ward says, "Windmill people, I hate those guys." Their daughter says, "Phooey, no breakfast again." The Cannibal Cleavers quickly grab their things, including a ratchet, and run out of the house, leaving the kid to free himself in the giant pot. The family all pile into the Plymouth, and Ward uses the ratchet to start the car as the windmill people creep closer. The kid runs out of the house while the family drives off. The mom tells Jed to hurry home or he'll be late for school. When the kid spots one of the windmill people walking towards him, he runs back into the house. Another thing I love about this dude are the windmill people. I love how they don't talk. They're like zombies wearing these like makeshift beat up spacesuits. And I love how eerie it is that this mist is following them.
Yeah, it's really cool. Again, with a minimal budget too.
Right? I mean, like when you actually examine the spacesuits, they're not really spacesuits, but they look like it, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And I know you're gonna say, yeah, but again, this is the world building where I'm like, I want to know their backstory. Like, I want a comic book to like explain who the fuck these guys are. Like, were they scientists that thought that they lived underground, but then they became warped over time or something like that? This is the shit that my mind thinks of.
Come on, Robert Ortiz, write the comic book version of this and put it out there. Robert Ortiz, by the way, is a really good writer and poet. He has several books available on Amazon, so go check out Robert Ortiz books on Amazon. He's a friend, but he's good at what he does. And if he wasn't good at what he does, I wouldn't promote it, so there you go.
But we'd still be his friend.
Maybe. I'm not friends with untalented people.
This is true, except you're friends with me.
No, I wouldn't throw you under the bus.
Maybe my singing on the Ballad of Cable Hogue, you're like, you can't carry a tune at all, can you?
That was rough.
As Zach's a musician, and watching his face like sink when I tried to sing, it was everything.
There's been a couple face melts I've had on Podcasting After Dark. That was one of them.
Yes. Cut to Buddy passed out drunk behind a broken wall down the street. He wakes up when he hears the Cannibal Cleavers drive by yelling about a storm coming. Back in the house, smoke is pouring in from outside through the windows. The windmill people start breaking in as the kid tries to hide. This scene makes me think of E.T. as well, that when they're all breaking in to try to grab in the end of E.T.
Oh, the FBI
scientists.
or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
Good.
I hate E.T.
I do too. Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I hate E.T. as well, but that scene always scared me as a kid, though.
That's why I kind of hate it, because I'm like, there's moments of terror in that film where people are like, oh, Spielberg. But there's moments of terror in Mac and Me, and I love that movie, so there you go. What's a Mac? A mysterious alien creature.
I've never seen that.
Oh, dude, you should watch Mac and Me. If you've listened to one of the newest episodes of Tales from the Video Store with Bodie was on the show, and we talked about Mac and Me. It's great. It's so much fun. It'll make you want to watch Mac and Me. I'm not going to lie.
The kid eventually escapes through the chimney and finds himself in the backyard surrounded by the windmill people in their tattered spacesuits. As one of them grabs hold of the kid, Buddy jumps through the air and slices the attacker in the back. The six-string samurai then says to the kid, "What are you looking at? You look up at the sky or you look down at the ground, but you don't look at me, kid. Got it? And don't think this means we're still together, kid, because we're not." Buddy then kills all the windmill people. And like Zach said earlier, like, that's my entire description of the fight. Like, it's cool because there's like He's fighting in like tattered, sheets hanging, drying and everything. It's a beautifully shot scene, but nothing I can, say in the description will help it. Just go watch the damn thing.
Yeah, the fight scenes are really, really good.
All choreographed by Jeffrey Falcon.
Lieutenant Falcon.
There you go. Cut to Buddy and the kid walking through a junkyard looking for a ride in the rain. They eventually find a motorcycle that works, and Buddy drives it while the kid rides on the back asleep. As they drive through the desert, we see a montage of Death and his band killing would-be kings on the way to Las Vegas and collecting their guitar picks. We also get a voiceover of Death calling the werewolf on air.
Who you be, Caller 23? Tell me about the new king.
This is Death. Hello? I thought that was funny. Yeah. I'd like to make a dedication, please.
Yeah, go ahead, baby. You're connected with the wolf.
To all the rock and rollers out there whose guitar picks shall litter my path to Vegas to claim my throne. Soon, Vegas will be destroyed, and a new song of darkness will fill the airwaves. Hello?
Yeah, let me blast this one out for the Duke of the Dark Side. Watch out, all you rock and roll mortals. Death is on the line. You got me trembling, baby.
The scene ends with the motorcycle crashing, sending Buddy and the kid tumbling down the dirt road. The kid starts crying while Buddy checks to see if his guitar is okay. And you gotta love the fact that Buddy checks his guitar first.
Well, I would too. I mean, what's more important? This some scraggly little mouse kid or your prized possession?
Exactly.
This is the worst scene, by the way. This is the worst scene in the movie.
If you could cut this scene, you would.
If you could, yeah. If this scene gets cut out, it gives an extra star. An extra star will be awarded to this movie.
He checks the bike, but can't figure out what's wrong with it. Buddy says to himself, I wonder if I can trade the kid for a ratchet. He finally picks up his guitar and walks over to the child. He says, "What?" which is echoing what Zach was feeling, but the kid keeps crying. Buddy gets so frustrated that he screams and flops back onto the ground. This makes the kid stop crying and laughing. Buddy does a kip up and starts to walk back to his bike, but the kid starts crying again. Buddy does a bunch of backflips and handstands to make the kid laugh. He eventually picks up his little would-be partner and carries him back to the bike while the kid makes funny noises. As Buddy's walking, the kid's like going, with every step. But Zach, I know what Buddy did when he launched himself up from his back is called a kip up because of our 80s Kids Unite episode.
Thanks to Patreon member David Ullman for suggesting favorite martial art moves from the 80s or something like that.
Yeah, that we wish we could have done, but, couldn't perform. Yeah.
Yeah, and I talked about the kip up from No Retreat, No Surrender, which if you haven't seen it yet, Corey, you need to watch it because it's really good, Corey. This scene drives me nuts because the kid's incessant crying. Like, I love what Buddy does in this. It shows off his acrobatic skills, which is really cool. I do love that. But the incessant, laughing, crying. It just goes on way too long for me. And the kid is screaming hard and it's grating on so grating on my ears.
And I knew it would
I literally was watching this. I fast forwarded the scene to see how long it was. Cause I'm like, how long is this going to go on? Can I just skip it? And then I watched it kind of double time. So I saw all the things going on, and then I see the kids screaming, but I couldn't hear them scream. It's that bad.
I knew that it was going to bother you. I didn't know how much this was going to bother you.
I don't know why. I was just like...
You're triggered. You're triggered by kids screaming.
Triggered! Yeah. I can't even share it on the air because I just don't want to get the... Yep. Not that they listen, but I was triggered by it. I don't like kids screaming.
I know.
And the fact that he's fake screaming, that's what it is. That's what it is. It's the fake screaming. Because he could stop, but now he's doing it to get him to do more of the acrobatics.
Right.
So he does it again. No, stop.
But this is a bonding
dirt
moment.
Child.
They're starting to bond.
Yeah, and for me, this is the moment in the relationship where you start to not move so close to your partner. Move a little bit away.
Soon we see Buddy pushing the motorcycle with the kid on it across a desert terrain. They pass a sign that says Las Vegas 214 miles. We hear the werewolf say on the radio,
Listen up, callers. If you're still out there on the road to Vegas, you better get your butt in gear before it disappears, 'cause Vegas is still looking for the king.
We also see another would-be king get killed by Death and his band on the same stretch of desert our heroes just traversed. DJ Werewolf continues as Buddy and the kid see a town in the distance.
Well, good luck, baby, 'cause you're gonna need it. If you're not fully stocked on your guitar strings, ratchets, and other valuable things, take a ride downtown to Little Man's Warehouse. He's got everything from plutonium to toilet water, located in the town of Fallout, 200 miles from Vegas.
Fallout?
Is there a real town called Fallout?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. But yeah, I'm fairly certain that obviously they played the Fallout PC game.
Right.
As Buddy and the kid roll into Fallout on their broken down motorcycle, a masked man yells out in a weird gurgly voice, "New arrivals." He's like, "New arrivals." It's so weird.
He's Merman.
Yeah.
He's Merman.
He is Merman.
That
dude.
voice is really hard to do, by the way. The guy that could do, was that Alan Oppenheimer? It might have been from Masters of the Universe. Merman voice. Such a great voice.
Yeah.
That's
dude.
hard to do.
Dude, Merman was always one of my favorite He-Man toys, and I liked his character as well, but I always thought that his sword was a little mini corn on the cob.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of shitty how easily he got cheesed out in the new cartoon.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I get it and all, but like, come on, Merman? People love Merman.
Yeah.
They cheesed out a lot of the top guys pretty quickly. Didn't Trapjaw get cheesed out pretty fast?
Yeah, we kind of got turned into like a cultist, and everything. Yeah. But I'm thinking back and I'm like, hold on, was Stratos even in Revelations?
I don't think so. I feel like there was an appearance of Stratos, I think, in the big epic battle at the end of the first season, but I don't think like he didn't have like a speaking part.
Yeah, which is weird because I remember Stratos being more a part of the show back in the day.
Stratos was in a bunch of the episodes, yeah.
I never liked Stratos, so I guess maybe that's why I didn't really notice it.
Well, kind of like when that figure came out, the new figures came out, and I was like, okay, so?
Yeah.
There's nothing, he's just kind of like a gray guy with wings.
Yeah, and I never understood, like, was that his hair? Was he like a hair suit, or was that a suit that he was actually wearing? I didn't understand it as a kid.
Yeah, I agree.
And he has
I wish I saw
Amish beard too, with the no
Amish
mustache.
beard, and I wish I would have seen more of Zodak. Zodak was weird. There's so much body hair on Zodak. Much body hair on his figure.
Zodak was I like Zodak. I always loved him as a kid.
Zodak's cool. Yeah.
I got the new toy of his. And dude, remember back in the day, the 4 Horsemen version had those cool, like blue tattoos on him or something that kind of glowed.
That was cool too. There was a whole mythos behind like the Zodak kind of army, and yeah,
like Guardians of the Galaxy sort of thing. Yeah,
right.
They stop and talk to Little Man. So Little Man's played by Gabriel Pimentel. He's actually probably the most prolific actor in this entire movie. He's done episodes of Scrubs. He was in The Lords of Salem, and he's still working to today, either doing stunts or just full on, playing roles and everything.
He's great too. He's that again, another fun little character. Well, another fun character. You're going to keep that in probably.
I got to. It's too funny.
I didn't mean it the way it came out.
I know. So he talks to Little Man about getting a ratchet, but he says they don't have any in town. He's sitting on, I think he's supposed to be sitting on a pile of maybe cocaine. It's like white sand, but then why does the kid start sneezing? Is it supposed to be cocaine?
Sure.
Better than white sand, right? It's more fun than white sand if it's cocaine.
It's white. Sure. Yes.
Buddy asks him how he is with kids, and the Little Man says, terrible. And Buddy plops the kid down next to the Little Man and says, great, you're hired.
I love that.
Me too. Buddy asks where he can get a drink. The Little Man tells him to follow the yellow brick road. Buddy lets the bike fall over and walks towards the bar. See you around, kid. I got a gig in Vegas. The kid yells out, but then starts sneezing. The Little Man had no problem with the kid.
Yeah, his Little Man's high.
Yes, exactly. There you go. Inside, the bartender is pouring Buddy a drink. And this is another one. I like this actor, the bartender, too.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, he's funny. And he's asking him about the guitar and says they don't get a lot of new guys around here, mostly just king wannabes. Buddy shoots him a look, and the bartender says, "Of course not you. You're the king." Then he gives the six-string samurai 2 thumbs up. Then he says, "Exit stage left," and bounces.
Yeah, I love that. I love that line.
As Buddy drinks at the bar, "My Love Is Killing Me" by the Red Elvises is playing. So this is my favorite song on the soundtrack.
Sing it, Corey. My love's killing me.
Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Different ladies try and get his attention, but all fail until one, a wasteland cheerleader, catches his eye. Outside of the bar, Death and his band walk past Little Man and the kid. The kid stands up and starts sneezing again. Then he runs towards the bar. Back in one of the brothel rooms, the wasteland cheerleader is trying to take off Buddy's clothes while he's just laying in bed motionless. I think that's hilarious.
At least he wasn't crying. It's okay. Do you want me to stop? No, yeah, no.
As she's undressing him, she's looking at the scars all over his body. Back in the bar, we see Death strolling in, looking like a badass. Then the kid walks in behind him, sneezing. As he walks around the establishment looking for Buddy, a scary bald man gets in the kid's face and yells at him. The kid screams, and Buddy shoots out of bed and grabs his things. As Buddy walks back into the bar, a guy gets in his face and says, "Do you know who I am?" And the six-string samurai doesn't even break his stride. He says, "Nope," and knocks the guy out. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
Buddy stops by a table the kid is hiding under when he hears him sneeze. The kid whispers, "Buddy, Death." Our protagonist says, "What do you know? It talks."
Finally.
He's still going to yell out, though.
But finally.
But the yellings won't be as prevalent moving forward.
But they will still be as annoying.
Buddy bends down and says, "What's the rush? Let's savor this rare moment, kid." Just then, a young mariachi yells from the back of the bar, "Hey, Four Eyes!" The would-be king is surrounded by 3 women. "They say you can kill over 200 men playing a mean six-string at the same time. Is that really true?" But he doesn't turn around, so the young mariachi stands up and says, "Hey, I'm talking to you, old man." He walks over to Buddy. "What's the matter? You scared?" Buddy quickly whips his sword around, but stops before cutting the kid's head off. Then he smacks him on the head multiple times with the butt of his sword. The young man drops his sword and guitar. Buddy says, "You want to be like me, kid? Go home, start a family, get a picket fence." He looks down at the young mariachi's small instrument and sends, not his penis, his small guitar. I wrote this. I didn't even mean to. "And get a real guitar." Before he hits him on the head one more time for good measure. Buddy walks away, and so do the young mariachi's 3 women. No, again, dude, the kid who plays the young mariachi is fucking great for all of 2 minutes he's in the movie.
I wonder if he was supposed to be like Richie Valens.
I'm guessing so.
Oh, Donna. Richie.
Who died in the plane crash that turned into the American Pie song? Was that? It was Big Bopper, I know that.
Wasn't Buddy Holly on that plane too?
Right, and Richie Valens, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay.
I'm not positive. We're not fact checking on this episode, guys. So
no.
Sorry if we're wrong, but yeah,
yell at us through the speakers. We'll hear you.
I just love that line in La Bamba where Bob, played by Isai Morales, goes, "It's not my first or my last." I love that line.
I know. I've never seen La Bamba, so.
There's a doormat that people sell on Etsy. It's Bob, and it says, "You're not my first or my last." Like
that's cool. That's cool. I like that. And I sort of only know about the Big Bopper because at the beginning of Mad Max, one of the main Force Patrol officers was called the Big Bopper. The one that's looking through the scope of the sniper rifle at the people having sex at the very beginning when they have to chase down the Knight Rider.
That's right. Oh, the glory days. I mean, you can watch a Mel Gibson movie and enjoy it. I still enjoy it.
Well, you definitely have Mad Max in your pile somewhere, buddy. So.
Oh, do I? Wow,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, he. Did you know he has like 3 or 4 movies coming out this year as a director? And
Yeah.
they're like the director of Apocalypto, and you're like, what? You okay? So you can hire Mel Gibson, but you can't call him Mel Gibson.
Right.
Like, you can't call it out. It's so weird.
Because you sent us that trailer for that one, the movie, Flight Risk or something?
Yeah, Flight Risk, guys. You got to check this trailer out.
But I didn't know it was him. Like, I didn't know he was directing it until you called it out. And it's like they really do hide it, you know?
They totally hide it. If you want to see, it looks like just the biggest piece of hot garbage to enjoy with a group of people. It's Mark Wahlberg with a bald cap on, but like not totally bald, just bald on top with the sides. It's amazing. It looks so good. Huh, what? I'm your captain. It's you just got to see it. It looks like what was that movie that Ray Liotta did where he was like the serial killer on a plane? I don't know. Anyways, the mid 90s were all these trash movies. I feel like we're in a mid 90s phase of entertainment right now. Like there's just so many straight to video movies that are getting released and you're like, is this really that good? No.
Well, kind of keeping with that theme, I do believe that Mark Wahlberg peaked with Fear. That's my favorite Mark Wahlberg movie.
And you didn't, he peaked with Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights, Fear, and then Boogie Nights. Because Fear came out before Boogie Nights.
That's true. No, good call. That was a good run right there.
Yeah. And don't anybody say that you liked him in The Big Hit. That movie sucks.
Oh, I definitely never saw that one.
That movie sucks.
That poster, any movie that had a poster like that was everyone staring at the camera with their guns, I was like, I'll just go and watch a Tarantino movie because that's what you're trying to be.
Right. And don't come at me with, no, that movie's really good. It's not. Like Bokeem Woodbine, all he does through the whole movie is talks about masturbating.
Yeah. No, thank you. No, thank you.
It's dumb. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Buddy gives his little partner a light smack on the forehead, then walks out of the bar just as Death was creeping up on him with his sword unsheathed. The kid looks over at Death, and Death laughs and creeps back into the shadows. The kid runs out of the bar after Buddy. Outside on the roof of the bar, Death joins his 3 archers who are using Little Man as target practice. He says to his band, "Stop playing around. Now I know how to defeat the Four-Eyed One. His heart is his weakness." The band members say in their weird voices, "The boy makes him very uncool." I like that.
And I don't disagree with them.
I know, I was going to say, and I think Zach might actually agree with them. Very uncool. They walk away, leaving Little Man hanging there unharmed. I guess to show how bad of archers they are.
Right.
Cut to Buddy and the kid walking through the desert. The 6-string samurai asks his little partner if he likes the beach. "Build sandcastles, go surfing, get a tan. I used to love the beach when I was a kid." As they walk up a dune and across the sand, Buddy says, "If you see any seashells, let me know." The kid catches up to him and asks, "What's a beach?" We see Death and his band walk past a sign that says Las Vegas 100 miles, and then across the same sand dunes that Buddy and the kid were just on. As our heroes continue walking through the desert, the young mariachi from the bar yells from a dune behind them, "Hey, Four Eyes! I don't have a family." He holds up his guitar and yells, "This is it!" Buddy doesn't stop walking. The young man yells for him to turn around, but when he doesn't, the mariachi picks up his sword and runs towards Buddy and the kid with it raised above his head. Buddy turns around and throws his sword into the ground. When the mariachi swings at him, Buddy uses the kid's own sword to kill him in one motion. The would-be king rolls down the dune dead. You can tell Buddy didn't intend to kill the attacker. It was more instinct. At least that's my takeaway of this.
Yeah, that was kind of a shocking moment. I was like, oh, that was fast.
Right, and I feel like it was kind of one of those things where the director and the editor didn't do the best job of conveying what was really happening, but my takeaway was that Buddy killed him sort of as by instinct, like he didn't want to kill this kid.
Would have been funny if he dropped to the ground and just went, "Richie! Come on, kid, let's go to the beach."
Some time passes and Buddy has buried the young mariachi in the sand. He stands over the grave and throws his sword down. He says to himself, "I gotta get a new gig. Let someone else be king." Buddy opens his umbrella and walks away, leaving his sword by the grave. The kid picks up the sword and drags it back to Buddy. He hands it to him and says, "You can still be a good king." Buddy takes it and they both keep walking. So it's like this is another beat from the hero's journey that the hero, like at this moment, like Buddy and the kid are both on their own separate hero's journey, but I think the movie is more about the kid's, hero's journey because Buddy's the mentor. But at some point the hero has to like, throw down their sword and be like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not what I wanted. But it gets resolved so quickly in this movie that it's almost like the director was like, I have to hit this, like for it to be a part of this mythological journey, I have to hit this beat, but I'm not going to dwell on it for too long. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah, same. I mean, this is a 90-minute movie. The pacing is very quick. You don't have time to have a long discussion about the ins and outs, which I appreciate actually.
Yeah, but it's enough there to you get what's happening. You understand that like it caused Buddy to be like, well, this sucks. I didn't want to kill some like kid like this,
Right.
But we're back, baby. I'm back to being Buddy. Snap.
Right. Thank God.
Right? Yeah. No one wants wuss Buddy. Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
In a world that has been completely divided for so long, two movie fans have decided to unite for the people and the betterment of mankind. One, an action movie buff. The other, a horror movie fanatic. Together, they will try to bridge the gap of both genres into one podcast with their battle cry, "Give me back my action and horror movies." Listen along as Charlie and Nate alternate each week talking about action and horror movies they cherish, mostly from the VHS era. Also, including some modern examples that felt like the movies they grew up with by answering the battle cry, "Give me back my action and horror movies." Available wherever you listen to podcasts. Look them up on Facebook and Instagram.
And now, back to the show. Cut to a scene of Buddy doing Tai Chi on a sand dune against a beautiful sunset. The kid tries to mimic his movements. I mean, this scene is insanely well shot. And this is like one of those things that's like, can you even get a bad shot of the sunset like this?
No, it's beautiful.
And it does make me miss the desert a little bit.
No, it doesn't. You know what lives out in the desert? Lizards.
Lizards and lizard people. Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah, and the Wolfman. No, Wolfman's too hairy.
Yeah, he is way too fucking hairy. Later that night, as the two of them are looking up at the moon, the kid says, "The 56 Chevy Bel Air can kick a 47 Buick Roadmaster's ass any day, at least on the first quarter mile, that is." And I love how shocked Buddy looks and he says, "You come all this way without saying squat, and now you're telling me a 56 Chevy can beat a 46 Buick in a quarter mile? I liked you better when you weren't saying squat, kid. Go to bed."
That's funny. That's funny.
Buddy puts his guitar down on the dune and lays his head on it. The kid walks over to him and whispers, "Buddy, I'm afraid of the spinach monster thing." Buddy doesn't say anything as the kid lays down next to him.
That's funny because that's when the kid is appealing to me, is when he talks, because he's a good little actor. Just the screaming just isn't annoying.
Yeah. The next day, we see Buddy and the kid slowly walking across the dunes. The little guy falls over from exhaustion, and Buddy falls down next to him as vultures circle overhead. Death sees the vultures, and one of his archers fires an arrow into the air. When it lands, they hear the sound of it hitting a hollow body 6-string. Death says he knows that sound. Top Hat and his band walk up to the kid and Buddy, who are unconscious in the sand. We see an arrow sticking out of the guitar on Buddy's back. The 6-string samurai opens his eyes and stands up as all 3 archers aim their arrows at the kid. Buddy says, "Who are you?" "Death." "Cool. You here for me?" "You and every other rock and roller out to claim my throne. Give me the guitar and I'll let the child go." Buddy holds out his guitar in front of the archers and says, "I hope you guys can play." Then he beats them down with the musical instrument. Death yells out to stop him while Buddy puts the kid on his shoulders and starts running away from them. The archers fire their arrows but miss. Man, that's got to be fucking tough for Jeffrey Falcon, the actor, to be running down a sand dune with the little kid on his shoulders.
Yeah, it's hard to run in the sand in general with some little shit on your shoulders too. It makes it even worse.
Screaming in your ears.
Can I get some earplugs for this scene?
Fucking Jeffrey Falcon's like, "Who am I? Blaster from Master Blaster?"
I'm Falcon, for crying out loud. Come on.
It's just you and me, Raggedy Man. Buddy stops on top of a dune and sees a sea of windmills. He says, "Swell," then puts his guitar down and places the kid on it. Then he pushes the kid down the dune as if he were sledding. But he turns around and starts walking towards the archers. He deflects their arrows with his sword until one lucky shot knocks it out of his hand. He then dodges more arrows by flipping and rolling across the sand. But he eventually rolls back and recovers his sword. At the same time, the kid reaches the bottom of the dune and rolls off the guitar. He lands face to face with a skull buried halfway in the sand and he screams. Then a giant tentacle comes out of the ground and grabs him as he yells, "Squid monster!" Buddy hears this and goes running back to the kid, but it's too late. He's been dragged underground through a pipe. Underground, we see the kid screaming as he slides down the pipe. He stops himself at a junction and climbs into a different area, escaping the spinach monster's grasp. Topside, we see Death and his band looking around for Buddy, but they don't see him. They walk off looking for more would-be kings to kill. A few seconds after they leave the frame, Buddy sits up out of the sand they were just standing on. He buried himself and has a tube in his mouth to breathe through. He looks around and sees a vent in the ground with smoke coming out of it. He opens it and climbs down the ladder into the underworld. Dude, that was really fucking Jeffrey Falcon buried in sand.
Yeah. No wonder he went into hiding after this.
Because he's still like getting the sand out of his butt cheeks and air cracks and everything.
I'll be back when all this sand comes out of my crevices.
My crevasses.
30 years later.
It's still in there. I can't get it out. Swamp monster.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Corey's like, "I'm sorry, Robert."
Robert.
And Robert's like,
"That's it. You're dead to me."
As Buddy climbs down the ladder, he falls and is separated from his trusty sword. He proceeds to look for the kid in the dark, sans weapon. We see the kid climb out of the tunnel and into a large underground arena. He spots Buddy's sword sticking out of a tire, but it's just outside his reach. He backs up as people wearing black trash bags and gas masks step out of the shadows. Cut to Buddy walking on a catwalk. He runs into one of the underground dwellers and easily dispatches him with his rock and roll kung fu. He looks down below when he hears the kid cry out. He's being shoved into the center of the underground arena, where the demented teenager from the gas station is waiting for him. He still has the arrow that killed him sticking out of his back. "Tag, you're it. How do you like hell, loser?" Dude, I love the fact that, like, in the movie, this is technically hell, and yet they could still sort of get there in a physical means. This is all part of the mythological blueprint of this film.
Well, you know what Pat Benatar says?
Hell is for children.
So maybe she was right.
She might have been.
Yeah, and I agree. It's a cool callback. That kid's less annoying in this scene. He's more just like, yeah, it's... Yeah.
Plus, it gives, the kid, and by the way, in my notes, I always capitalize the kid because he doesn't have a name, but it gives him something that he can overcome as well.
Yeah, and you need that for the character to grow.
They both have to. Like, this is, his fight with death, essentially.
Look, love is a battlefield, so,
Good one, buddy. Good one.
We're just...
The demon teenager punches the kid in the gut, sending Buddy's little guy to the ground. All the gas-masked underground dwellers cheer. It's almost like Chud.
Oh, Chud, yeah.
Love that movie, by the way.
Someone pick Chud. Come on.
Yeah,
Come on, Crystal. Crystal, we know you're listening.
Well, we have a fun one from Crystal coming next month, so.
We better.
The kid gets to his feet and starts channeling his inner six-string samurai by doing the Tai Chi that he was mimicking earlier. It doesn't work.
Yeah, he found out really fast that he's not invincible. Another Pat Benatar song.
Dude, you're unstoppable right now. The demon teenager punches the kid in the gut again, sending him to the ground. This time, the kid lands by a grate in the floor and looks down and sees Buddy. His mentor says, "What do you think you are, a windmill? Just clock the creep." The kid stumbles to his feet and gets in the teenager's face. The demon teen says, "Hit me," and sticks out his jaw. The kid lays him out with one uppercut. The kid looks at his fist and says, "Cool." Then he snaps his fingers like Buddy.
I love that. He found out that he's not a heartbreaker, dream maker.
Love taker, won't you, man? Dude, the problem is sometimes I can't hear that song without... Remember when Larry David did the voice of Steinbrenner on Seinfeld? The episode where George built the little desk, to sleep under the desk, and Steinbrenner was like, "How does that song go? Heartbreaker, Dream maker, stay." He's like, "I can't get it out of my head," and now it's forever ruined for me because of Larry David.
That's amazing.
Do you remember that episode?
That's one of my favorite episodes. It's one of the few that I remember really well, and I'm like, that's kind of cool. I wish I could do that.
I know you're a big Seinfeld fan. When was the last time you actually went through the show? Like, I know you used to watch it back in the day, but when was the last time you actually sat down and watched it?
Back in the day when it was on.
Okay.
Occasionally at the gym, it'll be on a TV monitor, so I'll watch scenes from it, just like Friends will be too. And I'm like, whoa, I forgot about this episode. And then I'll think, oh, I should watch that show again, and I don't.
You don't have the time.
No, but I can listen to Cartwright, a Seinfeld podcast, which all of you should be listening to.
Oh,
right,
thanks,
not
buddy.
after this. After this, go subscribe to Cartwright, a Seinfeld podcast, part of the BFOP network, and check it out.
Oh,
check
thanks,
it
buddy.
out. Yeah, you're welcome.
One of the gas masked, I abbreviated it to GMUD. Tells the kid that he's been chosen by the windmill god to be sacrificed to him. He then picks him up and carries him off. Just then, Buddy pops out of the vent in the ground and is surrounded by more creeps in trash bags and gas masks. One says, "If I were you, I'd run." Buddy says, "If you were me, you'd be good looking," then snaps his finger.
That was funny. And then he said, "Hit me with your best shot. Fire away."
Dude, I'm loving where this is going. So he then proceeds to kick all their asses with his guitar. Cut to the kid being thrown into a cage. A robotic eyeball pops up and says in a funny voice, almost Fallout-esque, "It's crazy, dude. This was 1998. It's almost as if people at Bethesda love this fucking movie."
Yeah. I mean, what movie was it? It was Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, right? Weren't we saying that was the precursor for other? Because that was the first zombie movie to come out in the U.S. after Night of the Living Dead, right? So it was before Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And like people picking up on, I mean, like these lesser known movies where people are like, oh, influenced by, inspired by.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. There's a lot of this. You watch I love Fallout. I think it's great. I really enjoyed every episode of it. Heavy influence for sure by Six String Samurai.
Yeah, especially like the voice of this robot, because he's like, oh, it's like a funny robotic voice. He's like, oh, goody, another sacrifice. Bow down before the great and powerful windmill god. You know, and it's great. I mean, seriously, someone over there had to have seen this, obviously. Right. The kid looks confused, and the robot says, what? You're expecting someone bigger? Hurry it up, I'm hungry. The gas-masked underground dweller, the GMUD, pulls out Buddy's sword. I didn't see him pick it up. But okay.
I didn't either.
Yeah. And he's about to kill the kid, but Buddy jumps out of the darkness and hits him with a guitar. He then recovers his sword and kills the GMUD with it. The kid picks up Buddy's guitar, and the 6-string samurai snaps his fingers. They both climb up a ladder and out into the desert. So yeah, again, you know what? It's also funny. Neither you or I are very religious, but I did grow up Catholic, and, you know, I basically got to my first communion, and then basically when the choice was given if I wanted to go to church anymore, I was like, no. But I do remember, I guess it's the Apostles' Creed or whatever, but I remember it's saying, and, you know, Jesus descended into hell, and then he ascends into heaven, but then I remember going to another church of my friends, and they omitted the descends into hell aspect. And even going back to my church years later, they omitted it then as well. And that was also when I was a kid, when I first realized, I was like, oh, none of this is actually real. You can edit anything you want to edit. But this does kind of remind me of that, of how, you know, like the hero's journey, if you also look at Jesus, the Bible is the hero's journey, you have to descend into hell and then back up again. It's all fucking classic mythology.
It is. It's almost like this was written before the Bible was written.
Right?
It's almost like that happened in like Greek and Roman times.
It's almost like they just took these concepts and, you know.
Wow, yeah, because I mean, my church was like, you know, communion wafers. You can eat them on a train, you can eat them in a plane. That's in the Bible, isn't it? You can eat them in a boat, you can eat them next to a moat, right?
Were you Roman Catholic?
No, I wasn't. I think I was baptized Methodist, and then I dated a girl in high school who was Baptist, so I went to her church. I went to her Friday night church things because I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna date her, and then anything for, well, anyways, so
anything for a kiss.
Yeah,
on my penis.
So yeah, I go to these things, and they were trying to indoctrinate me, trying to bring me into the fold, and I remember going to Bible studies with them, and we were talking about, what do you call it? Abstinence. And I was like, well, I like didn't understand the concept. And I'm like, well, there are things you can do to yourself without, you know, and they're like, what?
There's things you can insert inside of you, you know?
Yeah. I was so not cut out for that world. But I remember going to their Friday night things, and like they would sing songs. They would sing like Collective Soul, you know, the world of on high and I stepped to the edge. Like that was a religious song to them. And then an ironic, I think it was ironic, but they took out a swear word from it or something. Anyways, the good old days.
Oh, the good old days.
We belong to the night. We belong to each other. We belong.
Just wanted to work that in there. God, love Pat Benatar.
I mean, dude, so do I, man. So do I. Pat Benatar and Hart are probably two of my favorite, 80s vocalists.
Yeah, Ann Wilson, I think, is the lead singer of Heart.
I know, like, it's all about like what sort of rings in your ear, but I've always been a huge female vocalist fan.
So you like Roxette? It must have been love.
Yeah. No,
oh, yeah, we talked
I did.
About
that
this.
was actually one of the first cassette tapes I ever owned. When I was like 8 years old, I wanted the Roxette song, and I'm sure I was so uncool, but I fucking love that fucking song, dude.
Who cares? You like what you like. That's it.
Exactly. Thank you, buddy.
But if you like the kid in this, then
you're an asshole.
Yes.
Buddy,
you're Kyle Troy.
You're the Kyle Troy.
I'm gonna be the one girl.
I'm gonna be the one girl. What's this asshole smiling about? Don Cleveland.
Robert's like, wait, what about my movie? We're getting there, Robert. We're getting there.
Buddy sees a sign that Las Vegas is 18 miles away and says it looks like he'll make his gig after all. They spot a bicycle and use it to ride down a deserted road. Again, we hear the Wolfman on the radio.
Caller 22, you're on the air with the werewolf.
Hey, Wolfie, I can't believe I got through. I never call these shows.
Well, you only have to get bit by the wolf once, baby. Then you're hooked for life.
Yesterday I was cruising. These rusky cats stopped my ride and asked to see my papers and made me sing the Rusky national anthem. By the way, I think the king should...
Yeah, baby, this one's going out to all you freedom fighters holding back the red plague on the rock and rollers' front line to Vegas. Keep the faith, baby. We're waiting for the king. Don't let us down, you king.
As Buddy and the kid ride down the road, they pass the destroyed husk of the cannibal family's car. There's a sign on it that says, "This vehicle Condemski by order of Red Army."
Hilarious.
They keep pedaling until they are stopped by a Russian general shouting from the side of a hill overlooking the road. Buddy says, "Here we go again. I'll handle this." Then he shouts back to the general, "How much further to Vegas, comrade?" The general tells him that no one goes to Las Vegas without papers. Then the general tells his men to stand up, and we see the hillside is covered with Russian soldiers. This is actually pretty impressive amount of extras for a low-budget film.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. They just went to Loyola Marymount. They're like, "Hey, who wants to be in a movie?"
Right? Pretty much. Buddy says to the kid, "So this isn't going to be as easy as I thought." The general yells that this is his road. It's Soviet territory. No one gets through. Buddy yells back, "The war's been over for years. I'm the new rock and roll king of Vegas. So all you commies step aside." He snaps his fingers, and so does the kid behind him. The general yells back that he doesn't like rock and roll music. It's too loud. He prefers folk music. But he says he doesn't do polka music. Then he plays his guitar like the rock and roll king he is. Zach, do you like polka music?
I mean, sure. I went to a polka night in Colorado with my grandfather one time, and we did polka dancing.
Oh, I bet that was fucking fun.
It was super fun. It was great. Wiener Schnitzel. No, they had schnitzel, and that's when my cousins were busting out knives and their own personal knives to cut the schnitzel with, and I'm like, damn, that's cool. And their koozies, and yeah, that was good times. Do I pop a polka tape in? Nope. But I'm cool with polka music.
That's awesome, dude. That's really fucking cool, man.
Yeah, it was fun. This guy, by the way, the guy who plays the general or whatever, his accent kind of goes in and out at times. So I'm just like, oh, come on, dude. Come on, Ski. You could do better, Ski.
Did you say get better, Ski?
Yeah.
Good one.
There was a guy back at Video Man. There was this Russian guy. I used to give him shit all the time. You know, he's like, because he would not have enough money to pay for his rentals sometimes. And I'm like, well, I can't give you the movie unless you pay the fee.
The fee.
I feel like I should save this for Tales from the Video Store. These are the things we talk about on Tales from the Video Store on patreon.com/$2 late fee. But he's like, but I do not have the amount of money to pay for the movie. I'm like, okay, so when you have the money, come back and you can pay for it. He's like,
this isn't communist Russia.
Yeah. He's like, I will go get money from the bank. And I'm like, okay, then, well, I'll just hold it here for you. Okay, I'll be back. I'm like, okay. So he leaves, and I was like, I do not have rubles to pay for money for the movie. I want to watch Jumping Jack Black. I cannot do that until I bring appropriate rubles into the store. And my boss was like, if you can't pay it, what did he say? He's like, if you can't pay the fee, then he's not getting the movie. And I'm like, was that supposed to rhyme? And he just goes, Robert, and he walks to the back. I'm like, oh, God. Robert, you disgusting guy. Anyways.
Not Robert Ortiz, different Robert.
No, Robert Balzer, who I talk about on the show a lot. Robert Balzer. Yeah, anyways. End scene.
Dude, you and I both had very interesting bosses at our video stores.
You got to be an interesting dude to,
run a video store in the 90s.
In the 90s.
Oh,
now
God.
It's cool. Now everybody wants to work at a video store.
I know. The general orders his men to attack, and they all start charging down the hill. Buddy and the kid get off their bike, and the six-string samurai tells the sidekick, who's holding his guitar, float away, little butterfly. Just flutter away. The kid asks him not to go, but Buddy picks up his sword and walks towards the Red Army while saying, "If you scratch my guitar, kid, I'll kill you." Buddy charges into battle and starts cutting down commies left and right as explosions go off around him. The general says in Russian, "This isn't going to be as easy as I thought," which is funny because that's what Buddy said.
It's really funny, yeah.
Yeah. After Buddy kills more soldiers, one of the general's men asks why they don't just shoot him. The general says they haven't had bullets since 57, which
That's hilarious.
And that's such a perfect writing to kind of like keep it, you know, the production down. They don't have to pay for like, you know, blanks and shit.
Right, so they were threatening them and he called their bluff.
Basically. The general then tells one of his men to use his tiger claw style on Buddy. This guy is actually Jeffrey Falcon's brother.
That makes sense. These little white boys with their martial art moves.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
He's cool. Like, it's a cool moment.
Mm-hmm. The remaining Russians cheer for their would-be hero, but Buddy easily beats him and he runs away. The rest of the army charge Buddy and he has to fight them. The kid, who's been walking away with the guitar like Buddy told him to, turns around and charges towards the action. The soldiers don't notice the kid, but Buddy sees him. The six-string samurai takes some hard hits from the soldiers, but manages to defeat them all. Once Buddy is the last man standing, he goes searching for the kid, but falls down and passes out on the road. The kid comes running to him. Then the kid goes back to one of the dead soldiers and grabs a canteen of water. He tries to wake his mentor, but Buddy is passed out. And this is another thing about the mythological journey. Like, the hero, and a movie that comes to my mind is Last Man Standing, a Walter Hill film with Bruce Willis. And remember, like, he gets his ass kicked at the end of the movie, like hands broken, just destroyed. And then he still has to shoot his way out at the very end, like he has to overcome it. There's always this, like, in Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood's character had that like, he was sick and everything and still came into town and killed everybody. It's like they have to have this mortal wound and still overcome the enemy at the end. And in this case, it'll be death.
Like in Django.
And unlike in the
Great Silence?
The Great Silence. Where it's more realistic as to what happens.
Yeah. God, we've been doing a lot of, like, outdoor stuff movies. Like 4 straight outdoor. Great Silence, Battle of Cable Hoagie, Rituals, and now Six String Samurai. They all take place outside, mostly.
You're right, yeah. But it's funny because I think why I was so disturbed by, you know, The Great Silence is because of that ending, because, you know, you're expecting it from all the movies we've ever seen. You're expecting him to still overcome the villain, the enemy, even with his being wounded and his hand being fucked up and all this. You're expecting that. And the fact that it doesn't happen is what makes it so disturbing.
Not in my movies.
I was on a depression kick. It was like, here's another depressing movie Zach pick. Rituals, Great Silence.
Yeah. You've given us some real cheerful movies lately, buddy.
Well, spoiler, Buddy Boy is not going to wind up dancing off into the sunset.
This is true. This is true.
Buddy Boy.
Cut to the kid dragging Buddy down the road. He gets about 10 feet, stops, goes back to the guitar, places it further down the road. Then he drags Buddy another 10 feet. That's cool because, like, that kid really dragged Jeffrey Falcon, like, a few feet like that.
Yeah, he's a little Hercules.
Hercules. That'll never not be old, by the way.
No, never.
Back at the Russian massacre, Death and his band determined that it can only be the work of Buddy. Cut back to the kid looking at Las Vegas off in the distance. Buddy slowly gets to his knees and says they made it. The kid starts running down the road yelling, "Vegas!" Did you hate that?
No, it was okay because he actually talked.
Okay.
It's the screaming that drove me nuts.
Yeah, and the crying.
And the crying. And the screaming, crying.
The screaming.
Yeah, and the scriming.
So Buddy gets to his feet, but we see Death's archers appear on a hill above our heroes. One of them fires an arrow and it lands in front of the kid, stopping him in his tracks. The archers tell Buddy to hand over the sword and guitar or the kid gets it. They motion for him to climb up the hill and tell him that he has an appointment with Death. Buddy yells out, "Keep going, kid!" then climbs up the hill to the archers. He sinks his sword into the ground as he sees Death standing by a row of dead trees. This location's awesome, too.
Yeah.
Death says, "Congratulations. You've been the only one to escape my grasp." Buddy says, "Swell." We see the kid climb up the hill and stand by Buddy's sword. Death tells Buddy to relinquish what is his. Buddy holds up his guitar pick and says, "Looking for this?" Then he flicks it at Death and says, "Take it, it's yours." Death says, "You disappoint me. I only take what's valuable to you." Buddy says, "You can't have him." Cut back to the kid trying to pull Buddy's sword out of the ground. Excalibur style, dude.
Excalibur!
Excalibur! But very much so, because the kid beat the demented teenager with his fists. Now he has to pick up the sword.
Next level. Robert's like, you're not offering anything, Tiny T. You're not offering anything to this discussion.
You're offering Pat Benatar lyrics.
We belong to the night. We belong to each other.
Oh, yeah. WPAD radio, listening to Pat Benatar. Invincible.
Ain't money for to be innocent.
Death says that if Buddy won't play for himself, then perhaps he'll play for the boy's soul. Buddy snaps his fingers and starts playing his guitar as he walks towards Death. Top Hat does the same, but his music is more heavy metal. The archers keep their arrows aimed at Buddy as the kid pulls the sword out of the ground Excalibur style. Excalibur! And the kid somehow turns into Storm Shadow.
Yeah. Shing! And then Shipwreck comes out of the desert. He's like, "Who needs a ride to Las Vegas? Avast, you mateys." Still annoying. According to Corey.
Still my least favorite character. You know what? As much as you hate the kid screaming in this, is as much as I hate fucking Shipwreck.
No.
I like it. No.
Nope, not possible.
Death loses the guitar off and tells his archers to kill Buddy. They fire their arrows as the six-string samurai keeps playing guitar and walks closer. None of them hit him. Behind Buddy, the kid is yelling and running towards the fight with the sword in his hands. Buddy turns around, drops his guitar, and runs to protect the kid from the arrows. He takes 5 to the back and falls over. The kid tells Buddy to get up as the archers walk over. The little fighter gets to his feet with Buddy's sword in hand and swings it at the archers. They just stand there looking at him and laughing. But then, all of a sudden, Buddy stands up behind the kid and says, "I've got an appointment with Death." He grabs the sword from the kid and walks towards Death with the arrows still sticking out of his back. That looks fucking baller, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree.
Death tells Buddy to bend before the ways of heavy metal, and they clash swords. Buddy gets even more wounded during the fight, but never backs down. Death eventually disarms him, and Buddy falls to his knees. Top Hat says, "You were the last. Soon Vegas will be mine." He lifts up his sword to kill Buddy, and we finally see Death's skull face. That's cool. The kid yells out to leave him alone and walks over to Death and spits on him. Top Hat blocks the loogie with his hand, but it starts to burn. Buddy falls over unconscious as Death backs away. The kid grabs the canteen of water on his waist and throws it on Death. This causes him to spin around and melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. The kid kneels next to Buddy and rubs his face. The archers walk up to the kid and tell him he killed Death. Then they hand him a business card and say, "If you ever need a band, call us." The archers move out of frame and we hear birds fly away. That's why I think that they're supposed to be like crows in human form. The kid turns around to go back to Buddy's side, but all that's left on the ground are his clothes, glasses, and the arrows sticking out of the ground.
Like Obi-Wan.
Yes. Yep. Totally, dude. He picks up Buddy's glasses and looks at them. Cut to the kid dressed in Buddy's clothes, like it's his clothes because they're all baggy and big, and carrying the guitar, walking down the road towards Las Vegas. It's very Wizard of Oz-esque, like the way Las Vegas looks. It's awesome.
And then suddenly the music goes. The Mighty Mighty Boss Tones play as the credits roll. Just kidding. Sorry. Just had to go there.
I know. As he does, we hear cheering in the distance, and an image of Buddy is superimposed over the kid walking. Roll credits. So yeah, man, this movie is like a great example of the hero's journey, and it's also a great example of low-budget filmmaking. And, a great example of maybe what not to do sometimes with a kid in a movie.
Well, I will say that the last sequence with the kid is really good. He's used the right way at the very end. And, yeah, it doesn't take away from the movie itself. I think the movie's really good and really enjoyable and entertaining. And the kid being annoying through 3/4 of it is, you get used to it, unfortunately, just like you do, like, white noise. But like that final sequence is really cool and really ties up. It is like you said, it's a perfect hero's journey story. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad I watched it after all these years, and I'll probably watch it again. Just fast forward through certain parts, like you do for kids when you show them an R-rated movie. You edit through certain scenes. You're like, I'm gonna fast forward this part. Every time the kid screams, fast forward.
Well, this movie was originally intended to be a trilogy, and it didn't do well for that to happen, but I don't really need anything more after this. But at the same time, if somebody wanted to do something with it, I say do a comic book.
Did you need a trilogy for Star Wars? Maybe not. So
yeah, I mean, A New Hope, when you watch it, as I know it's hard to do these days because it's so ingrained, like Empire Strikes Back, but when you watch like A New Hope, it's a good standalone story.
It wraps up at the end. They get their medals and the movie's over. Like, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Empire Strikes Back is a great example of how to make a sequel, but like,
agreed.
But like, I didn't need any more of the Matrix trilogy. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, Matrix should have been one movie. That was a waste of money, in my opinion. Oh, people are gonna be pissed.
And I remember when like they announced the trilogy, they were like, oh, this was always going to be a trilogy. And I'm like, well, if you were going to make it a trilogy, I don't think you would have made Neo become Superman at the end of the first movie. That's what you save that for the end of the trilogy.
Right. That's a perfect example of just let movies be a one-off and just have your audience watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah. Let sleeping corpses lie.
Yeah. Children shouldn't play with dead things.
Give us a Pat Benatar lyric that will coincide with all that.
Hold on. Just, treat me right. Treat me easy. That's a good one, too.
Oh, man.
I love me some Pat Benatar, yeah.
Well, if you love what we do, swing on over to podcastingafterdark.com. You can find everything from our merch store to our social media links, to links to our Patreon, and everything in between all of that. You can also send us a message on there if you'd like. $2 Late Fee has something similar. They have a website as well, TWO, with their links to their merch store and everything on the website. But Zach, what's going on in July on $2 Late Fee?
Oh my gosh, July has been a hot month with Fright Night because of the Cloak and Dagger. My dog just goes, Fozzie's crying. She wants to go for a you-know-what. You're fine. Because of the success of Cloak and Dagger, talking to Tom Holland and the discussion about the Fright Night podcast that's out now, if you want a cool table read, it's called Table Read Podcast. The 40th anniversary cast of Fright Night. We got joined once again by Tom Holland and Jonathan Stark, who we've had. Both of those guys have been on Pat as well, but they came on to talk about the Fright Night podcast, answer a really big question about who Billy Cole is.
Ooh.
That question was finally answered, and Tom Holland reveals some really big news regarding Fright Night. If you are a Fright Night fan, future Fright Night projects in the works, check that out. Yeah, and then 80s Kids Unite is another pick from Cam Sully this time, Patreon supporter Cam Sully, talking about 80s arcades. That's on 80s Kids Unite. And then Territory marks the end of the month. We're celebrating the 35th anniversary. No, sorry. We're celebrating the 39th anniversary of a very big moment in NWA wrestling, Jim Crockett Promotions. So, yeah, lots of fun stuff. And August is going to be huge on $2 late fee because we already wrapped that up. And then the crossover coming soon is going to be epic as well. Crossover with Pad and $2 late fee.
Yeah, and I'm saving the Jonathan Stark, Tom Holland interview for when I'm flying back to Oregon next week, because flying from Maryland to Oregon, it's an all day affair, and Myra's not going to be with me because she's already flown back a week before me, so I'm just going to be listening to podcasts the entire time because my backlog while I've been here is now insane. I have had no chance to listen to any podcasts whatsoever, but that one's at the top of my list, man, because I was super excited to hear what you guys had to say.
Oh, thanks, dude. Yeah, it's really cool. So many things have already been said about Fright Night. So what more can you say? Well, there's some stuff that you're gonna, a few little things are dropped in it. You're like, wait, what? That's coming out? Ooh, that's okay, cool. So we were kind of surprisingly the exclusive for that. I've got more to share on Wrap Up After Dark. What? I've got more to share on Wrap Up After Dark. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry if you can hear Fozzie in the background crying.
Oh, poor Fozzie. That's my girl.
I don't know if I can look at this.
Oh, I believe. Oh, she's just staring at Daddy. Okay. Well,
okay. Anyway, sorry. I'll just say, check out the Wrap Up After Dark this month when Corey and I record that to hear some more fun facts about that conversation that we had with Tom Holland and Jonathan Stark. Some really fun stuff to be continued.
There you go. And as always,
we'll catch you on the WPAD dark side, baby. Yeah. Thank you, Robert Ortiz, for this recommendation for Six String Samurai. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV, and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a Surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.